Call to order.
Where is mine? Where is it? Oh crap, what am I doing? Oh, there it is.
Happy New Year, everyone. It's such a large crowd. Lynn will give me a count when she gets in here. But the reason we have such a large crowd is our speaker, I'm sure. Janet Carson is here with us. She's retired now, but she's still giving speeches and visiting the different groups. Janet, would you like to come up?
Thank you so much. It feels like old home week. And I hope I don't cough. I'm getting done with the cold. I had my 6-month-old grandchild with me for a week, and they kind of spread those germs, don't they? And you know, speaking of then and now with gardening, the same thing is true with this child raising. There are so many different things today on how they raise babies versus how we did. I don't know how ours survived. Okay, we're going to talk about gardening then and now. And you know, back in the day, we didn't have all the tools and things that we have today to do our gardening. But I think what's most interesting, if you look at some of these older pictures, is how they dressed, especially the women. So just wait. A lot of the gardens, though, back then were utilitarian. They had to have food. So the gardens that they had, everything was used in those gardens. As things progressed, they started building bigger houses, and maybe they didn't have as many edible gardens, but they also didn't do extensive landscaping. You know, there were sometimes some shrubs across the front. This is the headquarters house, which is a master gardener project in Fayetteville. And when they took it over, you can see there's absolutely no color whatsoever. Even though it's black and white, there's no flowers out there. So they planted those beds, but everything that was on one side of the garden mirrored the other side of the garden. So those are all heritage plants or things that were used for dyes or food. And then we got into the 50s and the 60s, and people started building the ranch houses. Well, if the landscape, or if the house jutted out a foot, so did the landscape. It was a straight line look, and there was not a lot of plant diversity. I was born in 1958, and we had, the first house my parents had, we had Andorra junipers across the front of it. That was it. I lived in St. Louis. And what do junipers get in the summertime? Bagworms. And my sister and I were given a bucket every year, and we got to hand pick the bagworms off of it, and then my dad would burn them. I hate junipers to this day because of it. But if you think about it, when they really thought they were doing something fancy, they poodle-cutted plants. You know, they made these fancy shapes on them. But what are these gardens lacking? They're lacking diversity, but they're also lacking color. There was not a lot of blooming things. We didn't see that diversity that we have today. And look at the difference. We also learned that if we put some sweeping arcs in the landscape, it actually softened the lines of the house. We extended those beds, we could add a lot more plants to it. And one of the things I've often taught is we don't want a one-season wonder where everything's in bloom at one time of the year. We try to expand that plant palette. And you can see how well it is softened and adds to the value of that home. Let's look at outdoor living. How many of you grew up with those chairs there on the left? I mean, that was big-time gardening. I mean, we went outside, we gardened, and we sat in those chairs for a little while. And that was living high. Now, look at the outdoor living. I mean, we've extended our living spaces from inside to outside, and we spend a lot more time relaxing. So maybe that means, you know, we say that our pace has gotten so much more frenetic these days, but I don't remember my parents sitting around outside in the patio or just relaxing that much outdoors, which we do much more of these days. Look at the grills. I mean, if you think about my grandparents had the Weber kettle, and that's how they did all their barbecue. It was with charcoal. You know, gas grills came along a little bit later, but now, instead of just having a little grill outside and those cheap little patio tables, people have huge outdoor kitchens, and we've got refrigerators outside, they're entertaining outside. The one thing I'm against is outside televisions. I think we watch too much TV as it is, and so I don't want to have that outdoors. My husband would love this. He would die without a TV. But you can see the swimming pools and just the space. Everything has changed dramatically. Think about when you did have to build a flower bed. If you had a sloped yard or you needed to increase, have a raised bed, what materials did you have available? Railroad ties were number one. And then some people did cinder blocks or bricks. But then they got landscape timbers, and we thought we were really doing well. The problem with all of those is trying to get a curve in because they're all straight edges. And so what they would do is they would cut, on this bottom slide, you could see they cut the landscape timbers and stack them upright if they wanted to try to get a curve in. But they don't last that long, and they'll start to rot and decay, and then we'd have to come back in and use them again or replace them. And then remember the old railroad ties, if it got really hot outside, the creosote would all bubble to the top, and you'd step on it, you'd get it all over your shoes, and you'd walk all over with it. Today we have an endless array of materials to use to build those beds. And we're doing a lot more raised beds. Here in Arkansas, we are blessed with wonderfully rich, deep soil. And that's why raised beds are so important, because we don't have that. And so we have to create those beds so that our plants will do better. I think probably the biggest change, though, is plant availability. And one of the things that I think we're guilty of today is that everybody as gardeners, we want the newest plant material. And so they're really pushing plant material through research a lot faster than they used to. When I was in college, they'd say it would take 20 years from development to release. Now it's probably 3 to 5 years. And for some of those, it's like Loropetalum. When Loropetalum hit the market, everybody wanted one. And so every garden had one, sort of like an azalea or a holly. And then the winters took their toll, and we're seeing less and less of them in the market. But we're placing things out there maybe too fast. But one of the new trends, again, remember color is king. One of the new trends is you're not seeing as many new introductions of green foliaged plants. A lot of the new plant material that's hitting the market is variegated. It can be white variegated, yellow variegated, orange variegated, red, purple. There's lots of colors. So that is giving you color in the landscape year-round if you choose those plants. But even in the realm of perennials, think back even 25 years ago or 30 years ago. You could have hostas, you could have daylilies, you could have irises, but we didn't have 50 different varieties of hostas to choose from, or 50 different heucheras. Who ever heard of a heuchera? And now there's a new heuchera every single season. So there's a lot more plant diversity. Think about hellebores. How many of you had hellebores in your garden 30 years ago? And now that is the #1 perennial in a winter garden because it gives us color in the winter. And for those of you with deer issues, they won't eat them, which is another good thing. So plant diversity and availability, I think, has been a huge change for the good. Think about containers. Now, I just took a group to Mackinac Island this fall, and you can see the iconic red geranium. And they still have them all down the front. They have thousands of them. But if you look beneath those red geraniums to the front beds, they also have a huge plethora of different perennials down there. So there's a lot of seasonal color. When I was a kid, if you had a container garden, it was one pot with a red geranium in it. And most of those containers were clay pots. But look at the different containers we have today. Containers get bigger and better all the time. And we're now landscaping our containers. We all know the terms, the thriller, the filler, and the spiller. We never knew those before. But so we're seeing a lot of diversity there. And containers are no longer just for the front porch or the patio. We're putting containers out in the garden itself to add some different texture or height and variability. So they are a part of our landscapes. Raised beds have gotten very important, not just for edibles, but for ornamentals as well. And there's lots of different materials that you can choose to use them. We're also seeing people gardening year-round. It used to be you might have a greenhouse or something like that, but now there are so many season extenders that people can use, and you can actually have vegetables producing 12 months out of the year if you're willing to put these in. These are called high tunnels, the top two, and those are going to be an unheated greenhouse basically. But then you've got the low tunnels, and those will actually help keep your plants alive even down into the 0-degree temperatures, because you've got that airspace in there. So there's a lot of people that are spending a lot more time gardening year-round. Now, we gave this bottom right-hand thing, this little plastic cover, we gave a raised garden kit to every county probably 10 years ago, and it came with that cover so that you could put it out. The problem is, if you travel or you're not home, then their plants are going to cook because it's clear plastic. And even though we've got the airspace, it brings a lot of heat in during, like today. It's warm out there right now, but tonight it's going to get cold. So you've got to zip that open during the day to let that radiant heat out and then zip it back up again in the in the evening. Greenhouses. You're seeing a lot of hobby greenhouse kits that have gone in. So there's a lot of people who are moving their house plants into a greenhouse instead of into their house for the winter, and then they move them back outside in the summer. So there's lots of kits. In fact, there's one, they have kits now that you can take used soda bottles and make your greenhouse out of that. So there's lots of interesting things. This one here on the left, it's actually got beeswax for the seals around the windows. So when it heats up, the beeswax melts down and the windows can open and then it closes. So it's kind of built in. So there's lots of new technology, lots and lots. We're also seeing, for once, we're seeing a lot, well not once, it's been around for a while, but we're seeing a lot more crossover from deer and other animals coming into our gardens. And that didn't happen as much even 50 years ago because we're taking over their property. It used to be there was the wild parts for the deer and then there were the neighborhoods for us. And now they have completely melded. And animals are no longer afraid of people smells. So it used to be people would go to the barber or the beauty shop and they'd get hair. And they'd spread that out. And the people hair would keep them away. They're used to people smells. So that doesn't work anymore. So now there's lots of new technology. There are solar-powered electric fences that you can keep things out. People are putting in deer fences. So if you're going to garden, especially in Hot Springs Village, and you want vegetables, you're going to have some kind of deer protection. Roses, and look at the clothing. How many of us go out in our dresses and heels to prune our rose bushes? But what? As kids, we couldn't wear pants to school in St. Louis when I was a kid. Even if it was freezing cold out, we'd put these heavy leggings under our dresses till we got to school. So things have changed, for the better for us. But, antique roses are now the thing. Hybrid teas were the king back in the 50s. Everybody wanted the bigger blooms. They wanted to have the showiest flowers. But then black spot disease hit. And that is a big limiting factor for growing roses in the South. Plus, you may have had bigger flowers, but you lost the fragrance. So there's a lot of people who are moving back to the heirloom varieties today. We're also spending more time in our gardens labeling our plants. How many gardens have you been to where every variety is listed there? Back in the day, it was a rose bush. They didn't know what variety it was. Edible landscaping is something too. Now, when I was a kid in St. Louis, my grandparents always had 1 or 2 tomato plants in with their flower beds. They did not have a big vegetable garden. But today, we're putting in edibles in with our flowers and our shrubs. You just need to be sure that when you're doing that, you're not spraying the same pesticides on your edibles as you would your ornamentals, because there are some variabilities. And herbs are an excellent way to put some edibles in with your ornamentals. And they can be harvested if you're doing edible landscaping though, you don't want to go out there and harvest the whole plant at one time like you would in a vegetable garden. It needs to still look nice. So be judicious in your pruning. Vegetable gardening has changed as well. Most of us don't have a half-acre vegetable garden in the backyard. There are a few that might still do that. But we do want them to look attractive, especially if we have smaller yards and people are going to see those vegetable gardens. And we now have vegetable gardens that are growing in the front yard. So these raised bed gardens can be pretty there as well. Heirloom varieties have become the king. People are wanting more flavor from those older varieties than the new ones that they think don't have as much flavor. In fact, there are some tomatoes I think we could play tennis with that will last forever, but there's not a lot of flavor. If you want some of those heirloom varieties, though, you will need to grow your own plants because they're not all going to be readily available. Or go to the Master Gardener plant sales. A big movement has been the garden to table. How far away is your food grown? People are going to farmers markets a lot more because maybe they're not growing as much of their own. But there are restaurants and places, excuse me, that are growing their vegetables right outside their restaurants and using that to eat. If you go to the Clinton Library, they have some of their own vegetables and herbs right outside. Themed gardens is another thing that I think is relatively new. We have people that are putting in pollinator gardens. We have butterfly gardens. We have bee gardens. We have native plant gardens. We have rain gardens that can handle all the runoff that comes in from too much water. And so I don't think you need to be a purist and have all of one thing, but I do think that there's room for all in a garden. But what is one of the biggest changes? Master Gardeners has only been around since 1972 in the United States. So we're getting, I've got one in there already, sorry. But you know, when we look at this, people are coming together as a community to garden, to learn more about it. We have the plant societies, the Daffodil Society, the Daylily Society, the Hosta Society. We didn't have those. I'm so sorry. So look at what all around you, these people are sharing their knowledge and learning about gardening. So regardless of the trends, today we can still do a lot. We can build on the past and move on to the future. Wow. So work with the style of your yard. Learn from each other. But continue to garden. So we can take questions. Sorry about this. Okay, are there any questions? Yes.
You said plastic is hot, put over your plants. What was that other picture? What did they put over their elevated garden?
Landscape cloth or fabric.
That's what I thought. Okay.
If you've done any sewing, you know what remade or it's called remade is what the fabric is called, and it's breathable. Okay, anything else?
Where is this garden?
That's in Scotland.
Right around the corner.
Protect against the hot weather here. I bought cooler brew and some of these things, and they don't seem to work with modern. You've got to water like twice a day to keep things alive.
What was the thing you were talking about?
Yeah, how do you protect things in really hot weather? I've had, cloth you're supposed to use, that doesn't work worth a darn.
You're talking shade cloth? You're talking about shade cloth?
Yeah, I tried cheesecloth. I said it doesn't work worth a darn. You get
Different
90
plants.
degrees, forget about
Plant
it.
selection.
I think it comes down to the right plant, the right place. So pick plants that can take the heat. Tropical plants, drought-tolerant plants, but if you're trying to grow like a hosta in full sun, a shade cloth isn't going to cut it. So I do think maybe add some more trees to give some natural shade, work your soil, make sure you've got some organic matter mixed in, and that can help. Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
Last question, I hope. To till or not to till?
That's like to rake or not to rake. I'd say it's up to you, whatever your decision is. If you've got a small garden, a raised bed, there's no point in tilling. You want to keep adding amendments to it, working it in. If you've got a large garden, now one thing, tilling, if you are going to till, just once a year. You do it before the garden season begins in the spring. There's a lot of people that got those smaller tillers, like the Mantis tillers, and they were using it for weed control. Where are the main weeds coming from in your garden? The top quarter into the soil. So you might till those weeds down, but you're bringing more weed seeds to the surface. Yes, Claudia?
One of our master gardeners, Diane Daniel, she does a really good presentation about soil, but she has always told me not to till down too far because you're killing all the microorganisms.
Well, there's lots of theories.
Yeah.
So, there's people that do the lasagna gardening, that they never till the soil.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people going to the no-till method. I think it also depends on how well your soil is prepared. If you've been gardening in your spot for 50 years and you've got a healthy soil, you don't have to till. If you've got really bad soil and you're trying to amend it and add organic matter, tilling it and working it in to get a better profile, I think is helpful. So I think it depends. The thing that's true in gardening is there's not one way to skin a cat. If people will say, well, what about planting in the phases of the moon? Well, if it works for you, fine. But I've always said, don't fix what's not broken. The thing is that we need to build a healthy soil. And until we get there, just putting stuff on top, it'll take a while. I apologize, guys. Anything else?
Thank you.
We have a special guest, a gift for Janet made by one of my friends. It's for you and your grandson.
Oh, thank you so much.
There's stuffed animals in it. There's a bib for you, a bird bib.
I might need it today.
And a bib for your grandson out of the flower material.
Oh, thank you so much. And I apologize.
Get rid of her screen. Huh? Her screen, her pictures.
Just escape.
Just escape, yeah.
There you go.
There you go. It just distracts from everybody else that's up here talking.
You want me to just turn it off?
No, that's okay.
Well, welcome. First thing we're going to do is we are elected officers, and we assume everybody knows who we are, but that's not the case. So, first Vice President, Elaine Sichter. She is all things committees and projects. After that, we have Lynn Johnson, Second Vice President. She's all things membership. She calls about you haven't been putting in your hours. That's her. Oh, and if you haven't paid your dues, which are due today, as a reminder. After that, we have Marsha Oliver, who is our secretary. And she is documenting what we do. Rebecca Tutton is our new treasurer.
Whoa,
And she just spent 2 hours yesterday in a Zoom meeting with the state, all about new financial guidelines. Fun times. And then we have Gail McClure. She's our past president.
Where is she? There she is.
She's in charge of mentoring and CART, which is the Committee Analysis Review Team. Got it.
Whoa, okay.
So, and I'm Tricia Freeman. I'm your president.
Thank you.
So, our first officer is Marsha with the minutes.
Where is that?
Thank you, Tricia. Okay, I think I'm live now. Thank you, Tricia. I have one addition to the minutes. This is the executive minutes that were for January. It is a 6B. Although we do not need to make the training manuals for the new Master Gardeners because we have those wonderful books. So I did not include that, but we are still needing help to put the handbooks together. And that's the only addition or correction. Anyone else have any addition or corrections to the minutes that were posted in the newsletter? Okay, they will be published as written. Thank you.
Every Tuesday before the meeting, the newsletter will come out and it will have copies of the minutes, the financial record or reports, the agenda, and any other information we think you need to know before the meeting. So Rebecca, finances.
These financial reports were in the newsletter. We spent about $869 for the month of December, and we're bringing forward about $36,000 is our balance. You can see in the newsletter a much more detailed account. Does anyone have any questions? All right.
I will say that if we did not post it in the newsletter, and Marcia read all of those minutes from the executive, the board, and the monthly meeting, and then Rebecca starts reading income and expense reports, fun times, y'all would be asleep by now. So we do put it in the newsletter.
The links.
The links, thank you. So, Lynn, membership.
All right. I am very pleased with you today.
Thank goodness.
We have 108 members here. Plus, we have 19 guests. So this is the reason we're running out of chairs and everything. All right. Of course, everybody knows Brian Fisher. Stand up, please. Our wonderful city personnel. All right, then I'm going to name these people that are taking the training at the class starting at the 30th of this month. And if you will stand so we can start getting a look at your faces. All right, Ann Martin. Aye. No, Donnie. I don't know, Donnie, are you still here? This is Joan's husband, Donnie. Kay Walsh. Aye. Sydney Brewer. Thank you. Okay, Janet Argon. Ann Butcher? No.
Yes.
Okay. Linda Gessett? Nope. Linda? Nope. Okay, she must have left. Walter Rogers. Ann Henderson. Mike Vanzette. Cindy Fabrote. I'll learn it. Y'all give me time. Beth Shea, all right. Bob Thompson. And we haven't got him quite yet, but we're working on him. Margaret Renard. Okay. How'd y'all let him get away? Laura Thompson. I had him. Why'd y'all let him get away? Janice. I have no idea. Janice, where are you? Janice? Aragon?
I already went once.
Oh. Nancy Pfeiffer? And Amy Gardner. After you finish your classes, you'll start putting in your hours. And we'll also get you a roster so that you'll know some of the people while you're in class. And I guess that's all.
Hi guys, it's me again. I've got several things just to update you on. We are almost through with our plans for this year that will be all sent out in a special news constant contact. We'll send the new chairs with the email addresses. We'll send out the strategy, which lists all the meeting dates. I've got a few I gotta wait on. And we will also send out a schedule that Lynn and I prepared about when your newsletters reports are done. I have a copy if any of you missed the board meeting. Your reports for the newsletter are going to get a little easier. They're more like every other month. And some of you don't meet before 5 months a year. So, you know, it all depends on when you're active as to when you're scheduled for. Of course, Yard of the Month, they've got 4 months or 5 months in a row they do. So those will still be a monthly thing. Let's see, what else was I supposed to talk about? I'm going to mention that we're changing the meeting date for next month, and I'll let Tricia tell you about that. Project sign up, the sign up for the projects. Donna Woodard has been so kind to work on that for us, and it's going to go out February the 1st. The sign up genius is only set up to take 20 names for each position. I know some of our greenhouses, Kay and Carol, they need more volunteers. So she's going to figure out a way to put the extra ones in. Some of the projects only need 2 or 3 volunteers. Some of them, like Lynn and I, really need some volunteers. So that will be coming out, the list of the emails. What else did I say was coming out? And the committee and volunteer handbooks are almost completely updated. We're still waiting on a few dates. We updated everything last year as far as your definitions. If you have any change in your meeting times, that is something Sherry's worked on for me. I need to know that now so we can complete all that, and we're going to send it all out in one constant contact.
Thank you, Gail. Gail.
Okay, just letting you know, we have 19 going through training this year in this spring class. It begins January 30th. If you, as more mature master gardeners, want to attend those training days, and it's always fun, you always learn something new, we would love to have you come. If you're going to stay for lunch, you do need to go by and give Patty $15 in advance the week of that training to get on the list to have lunch that day. But you're always welcome. It'll be January 30th and each Thursday in February.
Thank you. Is Erin here?
I just have a couple quick things. Like Gail was saying, Patty informed me that they would prefer the money the week before the training. So the first training's on the 30th. They would like the cash for the lunches on the 23rd. So the Thursday before. So just swing by the office. You can drop off a check, but that check doesn't get cashed until after the training's done. So they strongly preferred cash. I will be sending out the lineup for the whole schedule here shortly, but I was just going to go ahead and list off the ones for the first week. It's going to be plant pathology, irrigation, basic entomology, bees, and botany, and this will come out in the newsletter too. I just didn't want to send out 500 messages, so I figured I'd wait till the newsletter came out. We have 38 total Master Gardeners coming for the new training.
Oh, wow.
2 from Hot Spring, 8 from Grant, 3 from Montgomery, and 7 or 8 from Saline. So it'll be a big group. Going forward after the meeting, if some of the bigger committees that are going to be spending money here shortly, to stop by and see me after the meeting. Unfortunately, like, what Tricia was saying earlier, we did get some new financial guidelines, so I'd like to, give you a heads up for what's to come. So it's nothing major, just an extra form, a little bit of planning. It's really not that big a deal. But yeah, so I'll give you all a heads up after the meeting. Just come by and see me afterwards. So
Where will you be?
yeah, I'll be here till everyone's gone. So
See you then.
Thank you. So, unfinished business. We're now talking about our 2024 awards. And these are county awards about Master Gardener of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Mentor of the Year. We've got 8 awards. And we take those and then send them to the state. And a lot of times, our county winners are actually state winners. And Sheila sent those out this past week, and I was privileged to look at them, and I will tell you, I was so floored at the professionalism of the nominations. I had no idea we were so special, but we are.
Yay, Sheila.
Yeah, yes.
But before we are doing Sheila, we have to do one extra special person that has to be honored as she's starting a new chapter in her life, and that is last year's president, Gail McClure, now the current president. I've even had to write myself a list, and by the way, this is Heidi. Heidi Haskins is the H&H European team right here. Heidi has been doing the awards, and she said, do you want to go ahead and do it? And I said, of course, since I never keep my mouth shut. So here I am. I even wrote myself a list. Gail, stand up and come up here. It's only one that Gail has to suffer through. All the others are going to be done by Sheila. Gail has been a member of the Arkansas Master Gardeners since 2017. And I have to say Arkansas Master Gardeners because she's not just a member here, she's also a member in Hot Springs County. And as a member in Hot Springs County and in Garland County, she has worked and chaired on numerous projects. She has also been an officer in both counties. She is also in County 76, and she ran the very successful P&G a couple of years ago. P&G is Plant, Nurture, and Grow, the leadership conference. She is currently the treasurer. I don't know what else I can say other than she is a wife, a mom, and a grandma of 16 grandchildren. The youngest one is 7 months old, and her name is Marion Gale. And we're so proud to say thank you, Gail, for the wonderful work you have done for us. Okay, where is our Sheila? Sheila, your job right here is to do the next part.
Fabulous. And I'm teed up. Yeah.
Hi,
everybody. You know what? We are a busy group of folks. Do you agree with that? We just are. And we kind of go from one thing to the next thing, and we check the list and we move on. And if it's okay with you, y'all agree with me for the next just few minutes while we present these awards, we're going to think back on 2024. We're going to appreciate all the remarkable and special and extra stuff that happened last year. And we're going to stop doing, and for just these few minutes, let's just be in that, if you would. Because it's such a joy to be able to work on these awards. I want to let you know that the awards committee has just done a remarkable job. They do always. But this year, our awards committee consists of Suzanne Becker and Pam Connor and Susan Fuller. If you guys are here today, you want to just stand? And since we have so many new Master Gardeners here, or people that are just about to take the class, let me just quickly say how we do these awards. The awards committee starts soliciting your nominations in the fall, and then by October the 1st, this awards committee gathers all of those, tallies all of those, and we determine the person or the group that received the most nominations, and that person or group is the winner in Garland County. And then once we've done that, the next step is that most of those nominees are then submitted to the state Master Gardener organization to be considered for a statewide award. And so this awards committee, it's a huge job in many hours to do the interviews, to try to boil down all your amazing work into a deliverable in 800 words or less, with 4 pictures or less, to be submitted to the state for consideration. So that's also part of their job. It's a really big job. But for now, listen, in Garland County, this is us. And I want you to know that when you won these awards or you were nominated for these awards, they were by your peers, by your friends that saw what you did day in and week in and month out as you worked. So these are up close and personal Garland County awards. We're going to start by celebrating and recognizing our project of the year. Now, when you guys come up to get your awards, FT is going to take your picture, which is great. We're going to hand you your award, and then FT is going to have a picture of you in front of something pretty. Okay, so thank you, FT, for doing that. Our project of the year, y'all, the group that won
All of our programs. The green team is one you can depend on. They work hard to provide plants for the plant sale, and no matter what issues come up, bugs, heat, water, they are supportive. Mice, bugs, let me say it again. They are supportive, and we can always depend on them to make everything just be okay. The green team is a rock. Thank you for honoring this committee. Now, that being said, the award for the committee is a t-shirt, but we can't really afford 50 t-shirts. There's 50 people that we have on our list. So we're not giving them a t-shirt. They don't care about that. They're getting a rock.
Yes.
Because you're a rock star committee. No, we did not bring, I think I touched something.
There you go.
Okay. We have 53 rocks painted and ready for them, and they'll be at the next work day, so be sure you show up and you can pick one. And maybe put it in your garden, and when you walk by, you will remember we were Project of the Year.
Yay, and here's your award. Don't forget that.
Oh, thank you.
Don't forget that.
Stand right here.
So the green team has been submitted for consideration for the state of Arkansas as well as our county, so they have been submitted. And at the end of this meeting, all you folks on the green team, I think they're going to want a group picture of you. So FT, if you can stay, if you guys can come up on the stage after the meeting's over with, I know they'll want to get a group shot of you all too. So congratulations to the green team. So our next award that you got to peek at were our Master Gardeners of the Year. They were nominated together, and why did y'all leave? Y'all knew you were coming back up here. They were nominated together, and that is Carol and Kay. They cannot be considered for a statewide award because ties are not allowed. So we can't do that, but we wrote them up anyway. And it was remarkable to write it, and it was remarkable to read it. We're going to give all of you guys an opportunity to read it because we want to submit it. Our newsletter editors have agreed that we could submit their write-up to the newsletter so you guys can see what happened. If you weren't part of the team and you haven't been working with them at the fair and all the other things that they do, you'll have the opportunity to do that. So congratulations, Carol and Kay. All right, our next award is going to be for Rookie of the Year. Our Rookie of the Year. Oh, wait, what happened here? Something happened. I promise you it was perfect when I walked in here today. It's Jan Gibson. Where's Jan today? Where are you, Jan? Yay! Jan, listen, y'all have a great class, right? Really great class. Jan is part of a great class. She has been so amazing, and you guys have honored her with this award this year. We have submitted her also for state consideration. Good. So congratulations, Jan. Now I'm scared to touch this thing. I'm scared of what's going to happen at the end of it. There's Jan, if y'all want to see her in the bird sanctuary. Looking all cute. Joan Lambert, would you come up here and be our Mentor of the Year, please? You know, Jan is all of our friend. Jan is a mentor to everybody, whether you're her. I'm sorry, Joan. She's a mentor to Jan, and she's also a mentor to everyone that she helps along the way. And so Joan has been honored to be our Mentor of the Year this year. She is also submitted to state for a state recognition as well. It just so happens this year, our Mentor of the Year happened to also be the mentor of our Rookie of the Year. So it's a dynamic duo. It's Batman and Robin. I'm not going to suggest who is Batman and who is Robin. I think that changes from week to week, right, as to who that is. So let's all congratulate Joan. Now I think I get to go back to that one that was out of place before. And looky here, excellence in education. It's our youth activities group. Mary Whitney Bird is coming up to accept that on behalf of that group. Also, she was assisted for part of this year with Jennifer Blankenship, who maybe is here. She said she's on her way. Jennifer.
Come on, Jennifer.
Come on, Jennifer. And then everybody that's part of this group, if you're in this project, would you please stand so we can applaud for you? Youth activities. Here you go, ladies.
Thank you.
Boy, what a remarkable group this is. And just so you know, a little taste of what we got to write up for them when we submitted them for the state awards. You know, they touched right around 1,000 young people. in our county. Between their regular projects that they work within Garland County for several school districts, they also do some outreach, like, that aren't regularly scheduled, but like onesie-twosie outreach. And then they also work with our kids at the Garland County Fair, and they work with our kids at the plant sale. So just about 1,000 children have been touched by this great community. I'm going to try to move up again. Our next award is for our friend of the Master Gardeners, and it's our individual friend of the Master Gardeners, and that's Mr. Brian Fisher. You know, Brian has been a friend for a long time, but this was a remarkable year, wasn't it, Brian?
Yeah, it sure is, for sure.
There were remarkable things that happened this year, and one of them was we had the state conference, and we had, I don't know, hail and tornadoes and things that happened just prior to that, and oh my goodness, Brian really was a special, special friend this year.
Thank you.
And we appreciate you, and we love recognizing you for everything you do for us.
I appreciate you all.
Brian has been submitted for state's consideration as well.
Oh, good.
Our next friend of the Master Gardener is a business friend of the Master Gardener, and the business that had the most nominations this year was Signature Events.
Yeah.
And they are not here today. They are on a fabulous trip, is what I heard from Ramona. They're on a fabulous trip, so good for them. And they aren't here today, so I'm going to accept it on behalf of them and let you know that they received the most nominations, and thank you very much. Now we've got our newsletter of the year, of course, Crystal Reflections. Our editors, Lynn and Elaine. Oh, I don't have a pen for you. Lynn and Elaine, you know what? They do the newsletter weekly, week in, week out on Tuesdays. We were able to submit them, and we are really pleased and proud to submit them. That is a huge job. And you know what? Sometimes that could be a thankless job, so let's thank them extra today. Okay, so in closing, congratulations to everyone. I want to let you know that there were 50 nominees this year for awards, all right? It is a big deal to be nominated for a county award, and I want you to feel like it is. So everyone that received a nomination, you received a note in the mail. And if it was a group, you got a note in the mail, your chairperson got a note in the mail, letting you know that you were nominated, that you were seen, that you were recognized, and you were appreciated. So for all of our winners today, and for all of you nominees out there, thank you and congratulations.
It can't reach. You've got one there. Here.
Sheila, I want to thank you. I called her in a panic toward the end of last year trying to find a committee chair for our nominees. I just had to ask one time. She took it over. She ran it. No problems. Everything went wonderful. And I want to thank you for in your committee for all your hard work.
So now we'll have an update on the St. Patrick's Day Parade. So if y'all want to have a good time, look kind of silly, but it is a good time. So Karen?
Okay,
She is always so professional.
I gotta break in my boots. Okay, as I mentioned last time, we have found a place to work on the float and assemble it. It is at 196 Silver Spur, and we are going to have just a few changes this year. It's going to be a lot easier. We're going to have a meeting directly after this one, very short. Just I'm going to give you dates. I'm going to give you address. I'm going to give you our next work day and what we need to be gathering. So that'll be right after over in the barn.
It doesn't know till 3. It doesn't know till 3.
Oh.
Sorry about that.
Y'all come at any level. I mean, not just the people riding. I mean, there's so many other things we can do.
Okay, so Erin has talked to us about the Master Gardener training. Do you have anything else? Nah. What Elaine is producing is a strategy for next year that includes the
This year.
Yeah, this year. That includes the president's vision, important dates, programs that we've got planned for the year. And I just wanted to talk about my vision. For the past few years, they've been talking to us about being caretakers and stewards of the land. And that is important. Let's keep that up. But on the other hand, let's enjoy our gardens. And that's easier said than done because I'm the type of person, I'm sitting in the backyard, I have all this glorious garden, and it's, well, I need to deadhead that. That needs to be pulled up. It's hard for me to enjoy. But let's do it. And we enjoy it in a different way. Some people enjoy planting vegetables and harvesting them and eating them. Some want to have people over and see their garden or just sit there and look. So like I said, there's different ways to enjoy it. But by God, we work hard. Let us enjoy it. Alcoholic beverages help that, by the way. We've talked about Project Sign Up. You'll see that about February 1st. And for the new Master Gardeners, you will receive the ability to sign up for projects at the end of your training. So, we're down to the end. Our next regular membership meeting is February 27th. That is not our regular meeting date. The Elks Lodge has some big to-do going on, and we cannot meet on our regular Thursday. So it's the 27th, the next one. And the spiral calendars, the Master Gardener spiral calendars are now available at the office. Are you wanting something?
Trish.
Send us a picture of you enjoying your garden to the newsletter and tell us how you're enjoying the garden. Okay,
Do we need to hide our wine glass for our?
as long as it wasn't purchased with Master Gardener funds, it's okay. So, any questions, any comments, Mary?
Yeah, on the bottom of this page, it says our next meeting on the 20th.
Yeah, well, we found out today that we cannot meet on the 20th. So our next meeting is February 27th.
Okay.
All right.
The next Thursday, the next Monday, do you know? It's
It's Thursday. Yeah. So until. I hope y'all had a chance to look at so until.
Is there
Drawing.
And we have a drawing.
Yes.
Okay. This is education every month, and it's really very interesting, actually.
They make it interesting.
First of all, I want to thank Paula Porter for providing all the beautiful plants from her greenhouse.
Wow.
Thank you so much. I learned a lot. I learned a lot with her and how to care for each plant. And the topic was what some people do in the wintertime. And each of these windows is a suggestion of a plant and how to care for it. And it got to be on the library, in the middle of the library for a month. And I'm excited about a partnership with the Ask a Master Gardener that we talked about today. And so it's expanding. And we want to see about maybe expanding to youth activities for the teachers, because they're always spending their own money and they need help. And there's such an opportunity. So I'm going to give away a couple of things and draw with
Cindy Sacker.
Okay, as far as prizes, I've got one snake plant from my house, and because I have chickens, I got a dozen eggs. Eggs.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah.
I like scrambled.
That's Reba, Tammy, Ethel, and Lucy, and Glut Norris. We're responsible for that. Okay.
Jessica. Jessica Del Bianco.
Jessica.
He's out.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
We're moving on.
Draw somebody else.
Linda Rath.
Okay. Which one?
Well, I like them both, but I think I'll take the eggs too.
Okay, last one.
Susan Koenig.
Beautiful, thank you. Oh, do all of the there's your eggs. Look at your eggs, and I got an extra. That,
Thank you, thank you.
Tell us your story about your crock pot real quick.
okay.
Hurry.
With the fat thing.
It's short. My chicken's water kept freezing. No. Hello?
Yeah.
My chicken's water kept freezing in all this weather. And I was having to go out there all the time and break it up. And so I came up with the idea, somebody gave me an idea, putting a crock pot of water on low out in the coop. Well, okay, so that was great. And I go out there just to check, make sure everything's okay. Reba was in the crock pot. She was leaning up against it, and anyway, she was leaning up against it, just having a grand old time, like it was some kind of jacuzzi or something. And so I just told her, I said, that's not a good look for a chicken. So you need to get out of there. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, just another reminder about the St. Patrick's Day Parade meeting after this one in the bar. And Aaron. Yes.
Take the chairs out, don't put any up.
Oh, like that? What only? Okay, so we're gonna put the tables up, leave the chairs, and we've got lovely cookies, so grab some cookies.
And I'm proud of you also because we have 500 hours already for January. And I also have someone's puzzles, if they please come get them. I'm not sure I'm smart enough to put them together.
Okay, meeting adjourned.
Right.